suddenly adjust to a new kind of thing. I played knockout matches, I had played tournaments. But a match is a different thing. The main difference is in a tournament you get 7 different opponents. You're the 8 yourself. And if one person is very strong in your weakest area or something, then you can bypass them. You can make a draw against them and then focus on the people that are most favorable for you. In a match where you play 12 games against the same person, you cannot bypass him at all. You have to face up to him, you have to fix the problem and move on. So it's a smaller subset of problems, but there is no escape route. Unless you fix the problem, you cannot win the match. The second problem is, there are no third parties to upset. If you don't fix the problem against this guy, but you beat 3 other people, you might still win the tournament. In a match, there's no one else to beat. Again, the same problem. You have to face your opponent and move on. Second thing is, because there's usually a match is announced 6 or 7 months in advance, you can think that your opponent is thinking about you for these 6 months and you're thinking about him for 6 months. So the level of preparation for each other also tends to be much higher. Typically it consists of this. I will go over all his games and try to see what are his strengths, what are his weaknesses. I understand him very well. And then you have to decide what you're going to aim for. He's going to do the same. And then it gets a bit more sophisticated. I not only have to look at his games and spot the weaknesses that I'm going to aim for, I'm going to have to put myself in his place and decide, if I look at my own games, what will my opponent aim for? And then you have to avoid that. And so this back and forth makes it very hard to pinpoint exactly what you can do. And so there's always an element of luck. But the more you understand of your opponent, it will serve you well no matter what position you get into. So there's a lot of preparation like that. I made 2 key decisions that served me well. First, I assembled a team and I took some new guys with me. For instance, there was a Polish player whom I just met. I'd faced a couple of times in 2007. So I asked him if he'd join the team. And the second important decision I made was to change my first move. So instead of playing the first move that I played all my life, I switched it to play the first move that my opponent, funnily enough, had played all his life. So I was moving into an area where he would be much better than me, or he had much more experience than me. I took this decision in November and I told my whole team, first of all, I'm going to play d4, so important decision. Now we can forget about e4 and stop breaking our heads there. Second, I will not change my mind even after 3 months there's a crisis in d4. So even if there's a crisis, we will live with this decision no matter what. And this was good because the fact that we could focus on d4 meant that we had much more time for it. So we didn't have to waste any time on e4. And second, by saying that there would be no turning back, then everybody understands and they can work accordingly. Whereas if we had said we will spend time on both and take a more informed decision, let's say in February or March, the problem with that approach is when you take a more informed decision in February or March, it's still going to be a gamble because you will not have covered everything anyway. But you have only 5 months left to do it. So I think front-loading all the risk and just saying there's no way back, let's do it, was a risky decision, of course. It could have backfired. But it worked out very well. So sometimes you have to take risks. But the other thing I noticed was that I found it easier to concentrate and focus on my games when there were new and interesting problems to face. I mean, when it gets repetitive, it's very easy to get into autopilot and not think and focus very easily. Whereas when you have a new problem, then you're much more excited, you're doing something new. I mean, it's pretty much the reason you start playing chess, because it presents new problems.